The industry's research leads with faulty assumptions and ends with incomplete conclusions. Hello, and welcome to the Ocean News Podcast, an audio series in which we take a deeper dive into the most important stories and biggest headlines from the oceanographic newsroom. I'm Eva Cahill, the editorial assistant here at Oceanographic, and today's episode takes a closer look at whether Alaska's so-called gold standard pollock fishing industry lives up to its reputation. Campaigners have called recent reports into the Alaskan pollock fishing industry into question, claiming their 2025 analysis fails to recognise the fishing industry's true environmental impact and overstates the economic benefits for everyday Alaskans. NGOs have also drawn attention to the destructive nature of trawling, the environmental fallout from bycatch, and the subsequent impact on native Alaskan fishing rights and culture in the local area. The US pollock industry began to boom in the 1970s after decades of fishing by Japanese and Soviet factory fleets. With the expansion of a 200-mile offshore economic zone, the United States asserted control over pollock-rich waters and rapidly industrialized the fishery. The palatable white fish became increasingly popular and has today become one of the most commercially consumed fish, found in everything from imitation crab meat to the McDonald's infamous fillet of fish. And this popularity is reflected in the sheer amount of fish that has been caught in the region. In fact, since the 1970s, Alaska's pollock industry has caught on average 1.2 million metric tons of pollock each year. This makes it the largest food fishery on the planet and the second largest fishery overall. Pollock, however, also plays a crucial role in the Bering Sea ecosystem as both a predator and a prey for fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. The Alaskan pollock industry has long been upheld as the gold standard for sustainable fish management and marine stewardship. But two campaign groups, Ocean Conservancy and Alaska Marine Community Coalition, have scrutinized recent industry-sponsored report on the economic importance and environmental impact of the pollock fisheries in Alaska. So, what did they find? Well, the first criticism was self-evident. The industry's own self-commissioned report found that the major economic benefits of the Alaskan pollock fisheries were bypassing local communities. In fact, the report found that 71% of labour income, 62% of jobs, and roughly 2/3 of economic output actually leaves Alaska. And on top of that, the campaign groups found that the industry-funded research positions its industrial pollock vessels as the backbone of Alaska's maritime economy, without considering the vital contributions of sovereign tribal nations, other fisheries, and other players that may be impacted by large-scale pollock harvests. The NGOs also pointed out that the original report's calculations handily omitted the government's role in propping up the industry, like the hundreds of millions spent in historic subsidies. In fact, in early 2025, the US Department of Agriculture committed to purchasing up to $50 million worth of Alaskan pollock to support food banks and the struggling Alaskan seafood industry. Both NGOs also pointed out the overlooked impact of bycatch on local ecosystems and communities. Since 1991, the pollock industry has caught more than 6.3 million chum salmon and 1 million Chinook salmon. This has been linked to the long-term decline of crab, salmon, and northern fur seals in the Pribilof Islands, just off the coast of Alaska. This decline in salmon has also had a profound impact on Alaskan native communities, for whom salmon has been woven into their cultural, spiritual, and subsistence practices for centuries. Far beyond just being a food source, salmon are understood as powerful living beings that connect people to the land, rivers, and seas that sustain them. These relationships are reflected in ceremonies and traditions, including funeral potlatches where salmon are used to honour the dead and guide their spirits onward, reinforcing obligations of care, respect, and reciprocity between humans and the natural world. Yet, as salmon populations continue to struggle, Indigenous communities have faced complete closures on subsistence fishing in some regions, cutting off access to a cornerstone of cultural survival. At the same time, industrial pollock trawl fisheries are permitted so-called hard caps on salmon bycatch. These are limits that allow tens of thousands of salmon to be caught incidentally each year. Ocean Conservancy's fisheries scientist, Dr. Megan Williams, helped write the analysis. She said, "The industry's research leads with faulty assumptions and ends with incomplete conclusions. They fail to account for the huge impact that pollock trawlers have on the ecosystem, on Alaska native fishing rights and cultures, and other important fishing fleets. We need studies that fairly value the diversity of the Alaskan fishing economy as a whole, as well as the essential role of healthy ecosystems and communities." If you would like to learn more about this story or other stories related to the impact of the fishing industry, subscribe to the Ocean News podcast or head to the Oceanographic Newsroom. This has been the Ocean News podcast. I've been Eva Cahill. Thank you for listening.